Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Catholic Education Foundation podcast number 45. We have another outstanding guest for you this month. Hunter Strickler, the president of Louisville-based LPX Group, the lead sponsor of the foundation's upcoming Salute to the Game luncheon event. And as always, Mr. Rich Lecklider, president of the Catholic Education Foundation. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Fantastic.
Yeah, doing great.
Thank you.
Rich, 45.
45.
That's pretty
45.
good.
Here we go.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Hunter, great to have you on the show. We're super excited to learn more about you, your company, and your collaboration with the Catholic Education Foundation. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thrilled to be here.
Let's kick things off a little bit with your background. So you grew up in Oldham County. Tell us about your schooling and a little bit about, young Hunter.
Okay. I grew up out in the Goshen area. Actually, when I was brought home from the hospital, we lived on a family farm out in Skylight, Kentucky.
Hunter, when I hear Goshen, I think Justin Thomas. So obviously.
So I knew Justin Thomas basically his whole life. I got to watch him grow up out at Harmony. So yeah, after we moved from the farm when I was 3, we moved right off the golf course at Harmony and got to be a bug on the wall watching that kid. He never wore shorts to the golf course the entire time I knew him, and he was a pro from the age he was like 6. But yeah, we grew up out there, and I went to Goshen Elementary as a Goshen Gator, and North Oldham Middle School as a Mustang. Had the school bus pick me up at the end of the driveway for 9 years basically, but grew up out there. It was an amazing experience. Loved it. We had like the ideal little neighborhood games, kids running around every night. It was pretty idealistic.
I see you're a proud graduate of St. X. How did you come to attend a Catholic school, being that you grew out and up in Oldham County?
Well, that's definitely a credit to my stepdad, John Doherty, the Doherty family. He came into my life when I was about 5 or 6. I think they got married when I was 6 years old. And the Dohertys immediately accepted my sisters and I as like their children, their grandchildren. We were just part of the family. And so if you're a Doherty, you're going to St. X.
You don't have a whole lot of choice.
There's no choice. And so I started going to St. X Trinity games from every year from that year on. And there was no choice there. And then I was a soccer player. And so the fact that St. X was really good at soccer was also exciting to me. And I got to go on and play soccer there. And it was, an amazing experience.
Any state championships while you're at St. X?
We won 2.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It's 2 is amazing. Should have been 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were perennially, get that word out, number 1 in the state, and had a couple years where we got upset, but it was a lot of fun.
When did you graduate from X?
2005.
So Andy Schulten was there the whole time you were there?
The whole time I was there.
Yeah. He's an institution in soccer. It's insane.
Yeah,
don't forget Tom Sims, the freshman coach.
Tom,
Tom Sims is the man as well. But yeah, Andy, he was awesome, and we accomplished a lot with him, learned a lot from him.
Well, it's you hear about these storied programs, St. X Swimming and this and that and the other. St. X Soccer is going back, and this is 1973 when the program was sanctioned by the high school sports, and St. X won that first state championship, okay? And since then, you look at the record of that program, it's awesome.
It's powerhouse.
Oh, yeah, it really is.
Joe Doherty would be disappointed if I didn't. He was a soccer player as well, and I think they won a state championship while he was there, too.
How about that?
Little known fact. I don't think anybody knew Joe played soccer.
I'm having a little trouble picturing that.
I cannot see him running up and down the field, but okay. So we're all 3 proud St. X graduates here. Talk to us a little bit about your experiences at St. X. Who were some of your favorite teachers, coaches, maybe some mentors who really impacted you?
Sure. I mean, we touched on Andy. He was awesome. I actually got to have him for class as well, and I don't want to get him in too much trouble, but it was a history class, and I actually went on to be a history major in college, so I loved history, but he'd give us some work in class, and then he'd call me up to the front and say, "Hunter, we got to do some soccer lineups today," and things like that.
Oh, that's funny.
Andy was awesome. That's great. On the sports team, I had Alan Donhoff. He's a legend.
Oh yeah.
And Mrs. McBride was my French teacher.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how much French I took away, but she really looked after me. I became president of the French club, so that was a neat experience.
I had Miss McBride.
Yeah. Coach Crow. Coach Crow actually for English class taught me something I remember to this day is to say what you mean and mean what you say. So basically it was be succinct, keep it to the point, and get your message across. And I will always remember that.
Well, there's thousands of young men that have gone through St. X, and Joe's tenure there was 45 or 50 years. I can't remember the exact number. It was huge. And he taught so many folks who really didn't know how to write very well how to do so.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's just an amazing record of accomplishment. And Joe to this day is a hero at St. X in my view.
I agree.
So, Hunter, then it was off to Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. Could you tell back then that your St. X experience prepared you well for that chapter?
Yeah, undoubtedly it did. I was more than prepared academically and from like a scheduling standpoint. I had some probably growing up to do. That was not St. X's fault. But I had a tremendous experience there and made it through in 4 years, and St. X made it easy on me, I would say. Like, that transition was not difficult.
Was soccer in the cards for you there? Or?
I had the opportunity to go play soccer a few places. It was Miami did not have a men's program at that point, and I kind of wanted a bigger school feel. I wasn't quite a D1 athlete at that point, and I'd played travel soccer my whole life, so I was kind of ready to hang out, get the experience.
Totally understand that. Okay, and then you earned a joint executive MBA from UK and U of L. How does that work?
So I don't think they have the program anymore. Yeah, I graduated from that program in 2020. So actually our last weekend of class was like the weekend before COVID shut everything down. But it was a joint executive MBA program. You took half your classes at the University of Louisville and half at the University of Kentucky. And so you got like the mix of their best professors, and it was a really cool experience. It was a small cohort. Program? Yeah, it was a great program. We got to go to South America and study abroad, and that was cool for me because that was the first school experience I kind of chose to participate in. I think up to that point, following the education path is like you have to go to high school, obviously, and St. X was amazing. And then it was always distilled in us like if you want to have a real career and job, you need to go get your undergraduate degree. So I did all of that, and that was kind of just expected.
Right.
Going back and getting my MBA was because I realized I needed to learn more to really apply to my work experience. And so that was, you go there with a different perspective, and that was really neat.
Yeah. Were you working at the time at Louisville Paving?
I was.
While you're doing that?
Yeah, I was running our asphalt division at the time, and then taking classes on the weekends at those universities. And a month after I graduated, we had our first kid, so it was good timing.
It's really good timing.
So you started at LPX when you were at St. X, right?
I did. I worked there in the summertime. We had a company called Tennitrack Sports Surfaces at the time.
Okay.
And so we built running tracks and tennis courts and just sports facilities for universities and high schools and parks and individual, people's tennis courts in their backyards.
Yep.
And I did that every summer in high school and college. It was a good way to kind of break into the industry.
That's awesome.
Make a little bit of money for sure. I was making more money than my friends that were lifeguarding and things like that. It was a good, just discipline to get into those long, hard days. And when I moved back from college, I really didn't think I'd get into the construction industry. It wasn't really something that my family always said, like, hey, you're always going to be in the family business. But graduated in 2009 from Miami during the recession and had a job to go back to and managed Tennitrack for a few years. And that was a really good lesson in, managing crews, keeping them busy, making sure people got their hours because that's, their take-home pay, and that's right to support their families. And tennis industry was not too strong at that point during a recession, but it was a really good crash course in just managing a business and keeping it afloat and keeping people working. And then eventually went and worked for the rest of the business. And
awesome. Well, all right. So tell us a little bit more about the history of LPX. Apparently it has and I don't know much of it, but apparently it has a long history because LPX is a lot more than just Louisville Paving and Construction Company, correct?
It is, yeah. So LPX Group is kind of the parent company, but it was founded as Louisville Paving in 1949. So we're a little over 75 years old. Headquartered in Louisville that entire time. I'm fifth generation in the family business, so 4 in construction, and previous to that, it was the Doherty Coal Company. So some of the old houses you'll remember have like coal chutes to their basement, furnaces.
Chutes by the basement there.
So the Doherty Coal Company they'd truck the coal to people's homes and pour it down the coal chute so people could heat their homes. And then when the gas lines came in like the 30s and 40s, they had to pivot the business, and they had the trucks to haul things. And so we started hauling asphalt and aggregate, and eventually started paving driveways. And for the longest time, it was just Louisville paving, and we paved driveways for people, and we put up our first asphalt plant on Payne Street in Clifton, and that's where our office was for almost 100 years. And slowly it just morphed into more construction aspects. So in the 80s and 90s, they started a civil construction division. So over time, it became Louisville Paving and Construction. We also started Pace Contracting in the 90s about that same time, and they do wastewater treatment plants and pump stations, more like heavy-duty civil infrastructure. Streetscapes, so we're doing the streetscape down in Nulu right now. So anybody who goes and dines down in Nulu, you see the new sidewalks being poured and things like that. That's Pace Contracting.
Got it.
And then we have our trucking company that kind of supports the operations called Material Transfer. We have a testing.
So you do all your own trucking?
We do about a third of our daily trucking. We have 50 triaxle trucks, and that usually supports about a third of our daily load or trucking needs. And then we use a lot of sub-hauler partners in the market. We have a testing lab called Bluegrass Testing that supports our asphalt aggregate business, because you have to stringently test that material to make sure it passes all the codes, and that's been a neat business to grow. And usually labs are a support area for an asphalt business and usually operate at a deficit, and we've built that into a full service lab and do technical work for other companies. So it's actually become a profitable business. That's been a neat kind of way to lead the industry in that realm. And we now have a blasting company called Bluegrass Blasting. So a lot of just different tiers of the civil infrastructure world.
But you guys are building bridges. Doing huge highway projects. That's what used to be a driveway paving company that became a tennis court builder. It was mostly, in and around your home. Talk about some of the bigger projects you guys have done across the state, or either outside the state, actually.
If you've driven on any of the interstates that come through Louisville, we've worked on those, and not only paving them, but widening them and going from 2 lanes to 3 lanes. If you drive to Lexington right now from Louisville, or vice versa, you'll drive through our project on I-64, widening that from 2 lanes each direction to 3, and that involves a lot of bridge work in that project as well. On the civil construction side, we do a lot of the major big box warehouse projects around town. We're working on the Meta data center over in River Ridge, right across the river. So that's a huge project for all of Facebook's data centers, and that's.
So you're doing all the civil,
We're doing all the civil, and a lot of it, not all of it, but the civil site work and paving on that job.
Wow.
And jobs at the airport. Do a lot of paving, and
it's just a
ton of moving parts.
Yeah, a ton of all these different divisions. Yeah. Does each division have a leader, a president, or how does that work?
Each division does kind of have a separate leader. As the company grew, it was very siloed, kind of intentionally. So you had kind of a leader of the highway division and a leader of the private site division that did most of the private development work. And you had a leader of the paving division, and you had a leader of Pace. Part of the LPX group being born we started that a few years ago. It was always just our holding company. Mm-hmm. I created the family of companies under the LPX group to kind of bring everybody back together. So we had kind of grown to a point that we were probably not as efficient as we could be if we all brought our resources together.
Yep.
And so now we're doing over $300 million of work a year, and we have 650 employees and team members, and just trying to utilize all those resources together instead of it being more siloed. It's made us way more dynamic.
So you're one of the biggest general contractors in the state, right?
We are, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, Hunter, so you're the president of the LPX group. So are you in charge of all this?
Yes,
ultimately,
I am. Yeah.
I mean, yes. Holy smokes!
Yes. I couldn't do it without the tremendous team we have. We have the best people in the business, and the people that I count on to lead those different groups are amazing. A lot of Catholic school graduates, actually, in fact, are leading those groups, and we have an excellent rapport and alignment, and I think that's really important. Is we have a vision. Everybody understands what we're trying to accomplish, and then we all go about and go and meet those goals.
Okay,
together.
Hunter, you open the door here, so I'm going to ask you a question.
Go for it.
And be candid on me with me on this. I have a good friend who runs a marketing agency that is not from Louisville, has moved in here for this job. And he tells me that when he interviews St. X, Trinity, Sacred Heart, Assumption, go down the list, say Catholic school kids, there's a noticeable difference between those kids and then maybe kids who didn't get that opportunity.
Sure.
Do you see some of that when you guys are hiring?
Yeah, I'd definitely say so. I think people that have that education background in the Catholic schools, particularly when they've gone to a Catholic high school in our area, they're just, that polish shows through. I think just like the rigorous programs that you have to, I mean, it's not easy. And I think that's a good thing. I think, you're held to a higher standard and you are more prepared, I think. And I think that shows through just at a confidence level. And then also just the willingness to learn, humility. I think you're taught a lot of different things through the Catholic schooling programs that maybe you're not necessarily getting elsewhere.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, and I think too, just having recently seen, recently a few years ago, seen my 4 kids go through either St. X or Sacred Heart, there's 2 words that come to mind. One is discipline, and one is accountability.
Right.
And not accountability just from the student. It's accountability from the family and from the administration and the teachers. That level of accountability is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I think that really drives a lot of what you're talking about.
I totally agree. I think accountability at school and in business is huge. You need to know what your responsibilities are. You need to be held to a standard and understand that. And when you know what those accountability measures are, like where you're going.
So, Rich, Hunter mentioned St. X and Sacred Heart, but the Doherty family lineage has a lot of Catholic school connections to not only Catholic schools, but a bunch of different parishes here in town. Talk to us a little bit about the Doherty family lineage in our Catholic community.
Yeah, I've had the privilege to know the Doherty family for a long time here in Louisville. Hunter's from the Jack Doherty side. Joe, our good friend Joe Doherty's from the Bill Doherty side. And together, Bill and Jack ran the company for many years. Yes. And really throughout their history, there have been priests, religious, Xaverian brother that I know of.
That's right.
So there's been a lot of the Doherty family that devoted their life to our church over multiple generations. And Joe would tell you a lot about when he was growing up in his house, how many priests or nuns would be present in their home for a dinner or something, or to say a mass in their living room sometimes. Right. So there's the Doherty family, by their own virtue, is very deeply entrenched in our Catholic tradition here in Louisville. And quite honestly, for a long, long time, their generosity has reflected that as well. So I think this is just another example with LPX leading the sponsorship of our upcoming event at $40,000. It's a huge investment. It's another reflection of their value of Catholic education in this community.
Rich, you just mentioned it, so let's get into it. So the Salute to the Game luncheon event, it's an amazing event in its 18th year. Tell our audience about how it began and how it began and why it's taken off to the way it has.
Yeah, it's a great story. I think Phil McHugh, many people in this community might remember Phil. He ran Fifth Third Bank here for a number of years before moving on to Cincinnati. And Phil was the chair of the board of the foundation at the time, and then sort of an outsider. He was an Ohio boy, moved to Louisville. And he got together with the late John Asher, who we all know and love.
Oh, yeah.
And those two decided, hey, we've got this dinner event we have every March. You got to have something else. What other thing can we do to raise money for the foundation? They said, well, let's do this thing around the game.
Right.
The St. X Trinity game, which Phil was sort of enamored with. So, and everybody kind of looked at him like, I don't know if that's going to work, and this and that. And sure enough, he went to see Perry Singali and Rob Mullen and said, hey, this is what we want to do. Neither high school got any of the funding from this event. So this is all about the Catholic Education Foundation and helping kids in grade school. They both graciously agreed to it. Our first year, I remember the event, there's probably, 300 or 400 folks there. It was not what it is today. It was a great start. And we made, I think it was $25,000 that day, which we were thrilled with, okay? Because we'd never done it before.
Sure.
And it has completely taken off since, gosh, last year we had a record $650,000 from this event.
Unbelievable.
Had 1,100 people.
At a luncheon that lasted an hour.
Yeah, luncheon, 1 hour. And so it's been this huge part of our operation around tuition assistance. It's enormous.
Yeah.
And we hope someday to grow that to $1 million event. We hope this year to set a new record, obviously. We're working hard on that. And it's going to be the 25th of September, noon at the Grand Ballroom of the Gold House Hotel. Mm-hmm. It'll be very exciting. As an added little feature this year, Coach Pat Kelsey from U of L will be on hand at the beginning to say a few,
jacked up for that. That's going to be awesome.
Words. And yeah, Coach is he's a Catholic school kid. He grew up in Western Cincinnati. Yeah. Big family, all about what we're doing.
Yep. All his kids are in Catholic schools.
Yeah, can't wait to have him. So there's still time to buy some tickets, and we hope people will continue to support this event.
And Rich, something else I want you to talk about. If you can't attend the event, you can support the event by getting a split the pot ticket.
Yeah, we've got a split the pot raffle, which every good Catholic's used to in this town.
That's right.
And it's online. Go to our website. You can see it right there. And it's $25 a ticket. We're going to split the pot. Mm-hmm. Okay, last year's pot was $26,000.
That's right. Wow.
And one winner. And so you can do that as a way to support the event as well.
CEFLU.org if you want to get involved there. Hunter, I forgot to mention this, and I forgot to ask you. You've got a very young, growing family. Can you tell us about your family a little bit?
I do. I have 3 currently, and 1 that's due on October 5th.
When you say 3, what are the ages?
So my son is the oldest, Pierce. He's 5.5.
Okay.
And my daughter Penelope is 3.5. And then my daughter Eloise is 1.5. And then we'll have a third daughter here in about a month.
I can't imagine. We just talked about all these different divisions that you're in charge of, and then now you have all these kids. I mean,
again, I'm going to speak to the leadership as my wife Audrey. If I didn't have the leadership at work, if I didn't have the leadership at home, they all just make me look good.
Now, you became the president of LPX in 2020 at a pretty young age. Yeah. How old were you when you became the president?
Yeah, 2022, I was, well, you're going to age. I was 35. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
35.
Yeah. To be in charge of that big of an organization.
Big role.
Yeah. What have you learned since then? I mean, did you get thrown to the fire there? I mean, obviously you grew up in business, so you knew the business, so I understand that.
It's a big step. I mean, it was an awesome opportunity. It is an awesome opportunity, and it's not one that I take lightly. I had great mentorship. So Joe and John, obviously.
Yep.
Joe, being my uncle, is a little bit further removed. It's a little easier to listen to somebody that's not your dad. But Joe really showed me a ton of leadership and brought me under his wing. And every time I asked for more, there was always an opportunity to, hey, maybe you're not quite ready for this, but come to this meeting or come to this. And it gave me doses, and it got me involved in the leadership team. Also had the biggest thing for me in my career was having non-family mentors. And once I found a non-family member mentor in a family business, that really I took off. And somebody that held me accountable. We talked about accountability earlier. I mean, this gentleman, Kevin, was able to look me in the eye and tell me when I was not giving my best or not giving my all, or what giving my all looked like,
right,
and those sort of things, and held me accountable and said, look, if you want to run this one day, you're going to have to earn it and be the guy. You can't just show up and assume it's going to happen.
Right.
Not that I don't think that was ever my persona, but it really hit home. You need to be the top salesman, and you need to work your way up the ladder, and you need to show people that you can do this job and then this job and then this job and really earn it. And so having those influences was huge. And then I've said it, but we have just such an awesome team. I don't try to do anything myself. We're very collaborative. I think the best teams are collaborative, and I don't have all the ideas. Nobody has all the ideas. So,
Hunter, what would you say? And you heard Rich talk about the game, luncheon, and all the different things that the Catholic Education Foundation does to help Catholic school students here in town. What would you say to other local business owners about supporting the work of the Catholic Education Foundation?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in Louisville is a big, small city, right? And so trying to keep as much of that talent in Louisville should be all of our priority as business leaders in our community. And so we only have so many universities, but we have an incredible Catholic education, foundation with all of our schools, and that's where a lot of our talent comes from. And so the more talented young people we can put through those programs, it's just beneficial to the city at large. And so it's just a no-brainer, just providing opportunities for our kids.
Well said. And we can't thank LPX enough to be the lead sponsor of the event with a huge investment of $40,000. And that's over for 5 years. Is that right, Rich?
A 5-year commitment, which is enormous for us.
Why is that important for you and your company to support? And maybe it's a little bit of what you just said.
Sure.
But why is that important for you and your company to support?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to when I went to my first St. X Trinity game as, a 6-year-old with my stepdad. I mean, you see the impact. You see how excited people are for a high school football game. And I think that just speaks volumes to the whole foundation and all these schools that feed up to that point. It's not just a St. X Trinity game. All these kids came through a system, and it's important to us as employers and everything that to have a strong community, we need strong education, and that's the foundation of it all.
Well said.
Well, I think Hunter speaks very well in that there's sort of this unmistakable identity that Catholic schools have in this town around the word community.
Mm-hmm.
There is.
When you're in trouble, when something's going haywire, something's wrong in your life, things aren't working together, it's within that community, somebody's going to step up and help you. There's no doubt about it. It happens every single day. And I think that bond that people build around our church, around our school, and around that community, it's unmistakable, and it's quite honestly, it's unmatched.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it set me up for success, and still, I'm 39 now. My best friends to this day are the people I met at St. X.
Amen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, Rich, question of the day here. How are the Tuition Assistance Awards stacking up for this school year?
Pretty well. Last year, we helped 3,750 kids. That was a record. $8.3 million in scholarships, another record.
Oh, yeah.
As of 2 days ago, we just passed the dollar record. So we're already at $8.4 million and climbing. We'll be finished. We're normally finished around mid-September. It just keeps rolling. We're about even with the number of kids last year. So the numbers are very big on both sides. And, I think it's going to come out $8.5 million, $8.6 million in scholarships. So the average award's going to go up probably 3 or 4%, which is important. If you think about inflation, that's really important.
Yep.
And while we're not done yet, as of this moment, every single family that applied for an award and qualified, in fact, earned an award. So for the 11th year in a row, the answer is yes.
That's fantastic.
Amazing, which is awesome. Thanks to our donors.
That's fantastic. Hunter, I also think it's fantastic how successful a company like LPX Group gets behind an organization like the Foundation to provide a Catholic education to thousands of families in this community. On behalf of everyone at the Foundation, please accept a huge thank you to you and your entire team.
Yep.
And Rich, as every Catholic school family in need now knows, at the Catholic Education Foundation,
the answer is yes.
Hunter, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Great.
Hunter. Great job. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.